Welcome to Things You Don't Know, the podcast that seeks to entertain, but also to explore the accomplishments of people that are well known and to also explore the accomplishments of those who are not very well known. Hope you enjoy. Today, we have a very interesting podcast. Uh, it's about the first female bank president. Her name was Maggie L. Walker. She was of African descent. She was born on July 15th, 1864, in Richmond, Virginia.
She was the daughter of Elizabeth Draper, a free woman of African descent, and the Irish journalist Clesis Cuthbert.
It's a hard name to pronounce, isn't it?
Indeed. Her mother was the cook of the famous Union spy Elizabeth Van Lew. She was raised by her mother and stepfather, William L. Mitchell, who died in 1874.
Yeah, and I understand. I want to interrupt our flow for just a moment. I want to say that if you have been following us, you will note that John is not with us on this podcast today. And the reason is because he's attending to some emergency situations, and we certainly miss him.
We want to give him our good wishes and our love.
Yeah, and he'll be back with us soon enough. Anyhow, so Maggie Walker, she attended Richmond elementary schools, which were integrated even at that time. And she graduated from the Richmond Colored Normal School at age 16.
She married contractor Armistead Walker and had 3 sons with him, as well as adopting the daughter of her late cousin, Miss Susan Hazen. In 1881, a very important event takes place. She joins the African American Fraternal Order and Insurance Program, the Independent Order of St. Luke. She's involved with this group for more than 20 years, and by 1899, she's the leader of it. The title is Right Worthy Grand Secretary.
Yeah, the communal program sought to build an oasis of safety for the African American community of Virginia. As Laura Jeffrey quoted in her 1996 masterpiece, Great American Businesswoman's the title, Mrs. Walker became a member of Booker T. Washington's National Negro Business League after founding the St. Luke Penny Saving Bank in 1902.
In 1904, she made a very famous quotation, "I want to create a bank where the nickels can be turned into dollars." She encouraged her depositors to buy from and within the community, saying to the Richmond Gazette, "Every financial decision contributes to the welfare of those around you. The sons and daughters of Africa are creating an economy together. No one can deny our ability and our pride."
Wow, that's quite the statement, and she's actually quite right. When we buy from local people and within our community, it does raise the prosperity of the community. So it is a very important thing. To continue, though, with our timeline, in May of 1910, she became the first female chairperson of a bank when the Penny Saving Bank merged with the Afro-American People's Bank and the Negro Finance Company. 3 banks they consolidated to form the Consolidated Bank and Trust. That bank still exists today.
She did a wonderful thing for young people in the community. She wanted to promote access to education. So she arranged that any loans given to students for the purpose of obtaining their baccalaureate were to be interest free, provided the student maintained at least a B average.
Yeah. And also, that bank guaranteed the salary of white school teachers when the Commonwealth of Virginia couldn't pay for them or pay them during the Depression era.
She had a lot of contacts, even in that very segregated time. So, in gratitude, Governor John Pollard named the African American high school on the site of Virginia Union's college campus in her honor. Her bank was designed by a very famous architect named Charles T. Russell, the first African American architect in the state of Virginia.
She also had a 6 bedroom home. Sounds pretty nice to me, which often served as an unofficial hotel, hosting Tuskegee President Robert Morton and the governor of the Virgin Islands, William Hastie.
Unfortunately, beginning in June 1914, a tragedy struck her family. Her house was robbed, and the robber tied Mrs. Walker up in the kitchen. Her older son, Russell, was trying to rescue his mother and fired a shot, hoping to free her from her bonds, that ricocheted and accidentally killed his father, which forced him to spend the next 6 months on trial for manslaughter, for which he was acquitted. During this time frame, Mrs. Walker began experiencing terrible pain from severe arthritis in her knees and hips, and sought out medical treatments all over the country. The only relief that she got came from a sort of connective tissue massage treatment that was the creation of Dr. Jonathan Wetzel. And Dr. Wetzel is the mentor of our great inventor and rehab expert, another podcast subject, Miss Elizabeth Blount. Please check that podcast out if you haven't already.
By 1928, she was wheelchair bound. She was a wheelchair user and paid young students to push her around. And that was a nice thing she did too. She was all about education and promoting things for younger people to do. I think she had in mind promoting pride and independence for them. She created the first accessible bank. And by that, what do we mean, Dr. Nadine?
It's a bank in which people that used wheelchairs and other mobility devices could not only be treated with dignity, but could physically get into. In an era before the Rehab Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act, accessibility was non-existent. So she made a point of creating what we call cut downs, which are little areas over the pavement that chairs and walkers and other devices can move in and out of safely. And this is 50 years before anybody else was thinking about this at all.
Well, indeed. And it's easy to see why she would, because she was a wheelchair user and she needed to be able to get into the bank that she was an official at. So, yeah. But yeah, she was also thinking of others. She did remain in her post at the bank for 3 more years, despite her health issues. And she served as an informal advisor after that period of time.
Her last major public event was hosting a 65th birthday gala for Illinois Congressman Oscar DePriest, who was the first 20th century congressman of African descent.
Right. And unfortunately, Maggie Walker passed away on December 15th, 1934, at the age of 70. She was a pioneer in business and civil rights and in promoting opportunities for people in her community. We lost a great lady. Now, this podcast is sort of closing off the end of our celebration of Black History Month, even though we're into uh, Women's Month. So she begins Women's Month for us. Look forward to us having some more podcasts on that topic, if you will. We're also going to do some sort of fun things, just as a tease.
As you say, we are going to have a tease of some more humorous topics, including a product that everybody uses every single day.
He means humorous product, folks. Um, yeah, yeah, and that, once again, that's one of those podcasts that we thought would be real simple. I suggested, oh yeah, we can do this. It'll be quick. Wrong. There's so much information on that, it'll blow your mind. So anyhow, click like, click the reminder bell. If you have a comment to leave, please do. We love hearing from you. And we thank you for listening today. And goodbye for now.
So long, folks.